Hello, I'm Sharon and this is The Lifelong Learner, and today I'm going to tell you about 5 books that I have read and loved since we last spoke. So since returning to the tube of the U, I have not really spoken too much about any books that I've been reading or have read since I last started posting on this channel 2 years ago. So I figured I would go through books that I've read over the past 2 years and select sort of a top 5 or 5 books that stand out, and I have done just that, and each of these are, quite different. So here we go. First up, we've got Territory of Light by Yuko Tsushima. This is a Penguin Classics edition with French flaps, so it's a beautifully designed book. It's a short one as well, and I do like my novellas, and this was translated from the Japanese. This tells the story of a mother who has recently separated from her husband, and it basically kind of chronicles the first year of that separation. And she's bringing up her young daughter as well, so it's about single motherhood. And she moves into this office block that has been converted into flats, and she's got the top floor to herself. So there's all these windows, and she leaves the windows open, and it's this beautiful light that comes in, which links to the title of the book, which is Territory of Light. And I think that's the thing that I remember most about this book, is the kind of descriptions of the light. The light almost feels like a character in and of itself. And I do think it was really beautifully written, and the light really kind of features throughout the entirety of the book. It's a very sort of meditative book. You kind of get this sort of introspective thoughts of this mother who's kind of going through a lot. It's a real struggle what she's going through becoming a single mother. But yeah, beautiful writing. Love the kind of descriptions of the light, and I thought it was a very thoughtful story as well. Next up, we've got The Deepest Breath by Meg Grehan, and this is the cutest, most adorablest, loveliest little book. Oh my goodness. This is a middle grade queer book, and it is stunning. It's so perfectly done. It is basically about this young girl as she doesn't know everything about the world, and one of the things that she's really struggling to understand is her feelings. And I think it perfectly articulates that kind of struggle that you have as a child when you're trying to figure out your feelings, and it's doing that in relation to her having feelings for another young girl that she's friends with. And it just does it so perfectly, and the whole story of her figuring this out is just perfect. I just thought it was lovely. My mum also read this book and thought it was really cute as well. I think anyone that reads this is just wants to hug this book, because it's just such a cute story, and I think it's so important to have books like this for younger readers as well. So it's kind of almost sort of like poetry in a way that it's laid out. So it's a very sort of quick read. I mean, obviously because it is for younger readers, but I think just the way that it's laid out as well makes for a very quick read. But I just thought it was perfect, and really kind of got inside the mind of a child as they try to figure out their own emotions and feelings. So adorable. Next up, we have got The Anatomy of Violence by Adrian, The Biological Roots of Crime. So this is a non-fiction book, so if you like your psychology or forensic psychology books, then this is a book for you. You are either going to hate it or love it. It probably depends on what your point of view is on why people do crime. I can understand that looking at why people do crime and why people murder or psychopaths and all that sort of thing can be really problematic if you just look at it from a biological point of view. I felt like the author was quite balanced in his view. However, I have also read other reviews where people disagree. Basically, the author is drawing on all the studies and research that he has carried out, and he's looking at things like brain scans, looking at the brain scans of murderers, and asking those sorts of questions of why people do crime. And I thought it was just really fascinating and insightful and really accessible. So if you've any interest in the links between biology and behaviour, then this might be a book for you. But proceed with caution, because there's other perspectives of looking at crime. Fantastic. Next up, we have got Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. Now, Sarah Waters is one of those authors I believe at some point I will probably read everything that she has ever written. I don't tend to really like big books, but she is really an exception to that rule. Particularly fiction, I don't really like big books, but hers I love. And I think the reason I get on with them is that they're just so immersive. I just feel like you get caught up in the characters and the story and the setting, you're just kind of really there. And I find this to be a bit of a page turner for me, and I just think that's so rare for me when it comes to big books. This is a sort of Victorian murder mystery heist based story, It's really sort of atmospheric. You kind of get caught up in the heist and everything that's kind of going on with that, but there's also a lesbian romance in here as well. And I've heard Sarah Waters' books being described as like the lesbian Dickens, and I think that perfectly articulates what her books are like, and this certainly kind of falls into that category. If you like characters and plot, you will probably love this book. Next up we have got Zami, A New Spelling of My Name by Audre Lorde, a biomythography. Biomythography. It's a memoir, but it's kind of written in a very sort of fictional way. This is amazing. This is amazing. Oh my goodness. I was recommended this so many times, and I was never like overly excited about it. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting, I'll give that a go. So it meant when I was reading it, my expectations weren't that high, despite the fact so many people told me to read it. I was just kind of expecting it to be sort of like a 3-star read, and it ended up being a 5-star read for me. This is fantastic, and I feel like there's nothing I can say to make you realise how brilliant this is. I don't know how to sell this to you. How did I tell you to read this book? Oh my goodness. Essentially, this is about Audre Lorde. It's a memoir, like I say, but it is written in a sort of fictional kind of way. And it's about her growing up in the 50s in New York and her experiences of being a black gay woman. So it's all to do with kind of the racism she experiences, all stuff in terms of her exploring her sexuality. It's really sort of insightful in relation to that. I just thought it just really drew me in, and it's kind of just getting that kind of private look at someone's life. And just being fascinated by someone's experiences as they explore the world and figure themselves out. And none of that, I feel like, explains how good this book is. So all I'm just going to say is, it's good, it's amazing, it's wonderful. I loved it. I was pleasantly surprised by it, and you might be too. So if you haven't read it, read it. So there you go, that is 5 books I have read and loved since we last spoke. Let me know if you read any of them, if you didn't like any of them, if you did like any of them. Let's chat in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.